Iran's potential new leadership just reached out to President Trump. They want to talk. They want negotiations. They're signaling they want to end the conflict that's been devastating their country for weeks. And Trump's response? He'll talk eventually. But for now, Operation Epic Fury continues unabated. That's the official White House statement. Iran's new potential leadership is asking for dialogue. Trump says he'll engage at some point, but the largest U.S. air campaign in the Middle East since the Iraq War isn't stopping. The bombs keep falling, the strikes keep coming, the pressure keeps building. Think about what this means. Iran's leadership has changed. The regime that refused to negotiate, that escalated toward nuclear weapons, that threatened American forces across the region, that leadership appears to be gone or losing power. New leadership is emerging, and their first move is reaching out to Washington saying they want to talk. That's a massive strategic shift. That's Iran potentially capitulating under military pressure. But Trump isn't declaring victory and stopping operations. He's keeping the military campaign going full force while signaling he's willing to talk eventually. Maximum pressure. Continue the pain until you get the deal you want. When you understand what Operation Epic Fury actually is, what's been happening in Iran over the past few weeks, and what this outreach from new Iranian leadership actually means, you'll realize we're witnessing a potential regime change in Iran happening in real time under the weight of American military pressure. Let me walk you through what Operation Epic Fury has been, what it's achieved, and what happens next now that Iran's leadership is begging to talk. Operation Epic Fury is the code name for the sustained U.S. air campaign against Iran that's been ongoing since late February 2026. This isn't a few isolated strikes. This is weeks of continuous military operations. Remember the force deployment we discussed weeks ago? 2 carrier strike groups, over 150 aircraft, stealth fighters, B-2 bombers with bunker-busting munitions, missile defense batteries, forward-deployed precision weapons for multi-week sustained operations. All of that has been actively employed. The Pentagon prepared for weeks of sustained combat if necessary, and that's exactly what they've been conducting. Operation Epic Fury has targeted Iran's nuclear facilities, missile infrastructure, Revolutionary Guard Corps installations, command and control centers, and air defense systems across multiple Iranian provinces. F-22 Raptors and F-35 Lightning IIs suppressed Iranian air defenses in the opening phase. Once radars and missile batteries were degraded, F-15 Strike Eagles and F-A-18 Super Hornets from the carrier groups conducted systematic strikes against priority targets. B-2 Spirit stealth bombers flew multiple 30-hour round-trip missions from Missouri, delivering GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator bunker busters against deeply buried nuclear facilities at Natanz, Fordo, and the Parchin complex. The satellite images we saw weeks ago, showing Iran frantically fortifying these facilities with concrete, those fortifications have been targeted repeatedly with weapons specifically designed to penetrate hardened underground structures. Iran's efforts to bury their nuclear program under layers of concrete and earth didn't save them. American bunker busters are designed to destroy exactly these types of targets. Beyond nuclear sites, Operation Epic Fury has systematically degraded Iran's military capabilities. Missile production facilities destroyed, storage depots hit, launch sites neutralized, naval bases struck, Revolutionary Guard headquarters bombed. This has been a comprehensive air campaign designed not just to set back Iran's nuclear program, but to cripple their overall military capability and specifically their ability to threaten American forces and regional allies. And it's been going on for weeks. Not days, weeks. Sustained operations exactly as Pentagon planners prepared for. The results have been devastating for Iran. Their nuclear facilities are badly damaged. Their missile infrastructure is degraded. Their air defenses are largely destroyed. Their military command structure is disrupted. But there's also been significant loss of life. Iranian military personnel killed in strikes on bases and command centers. Civilian casualties from strikes in populated areas near military targets. Infrastructure damage affecting Iran's economy and civilian population. The Iranian regime has been under enormous pressure. Military pressure from ongoing strikes. Economic pressure as oil facilities and infrastructure are hit. Political pressure as the Iranian people suffer the consequences of their government's nuclear ambitions. And now we're seeing the result of that pressure. Iran's leadership is changing, and new potential leaders are reaching out to the United States asking to talk. Let's be clear about what new potential leadership means, because this phrasing is significant. The White House isn't saying Iran's government has officially changed. They're not announcing that Ayatollah Khamenei has been deposed, or that a new regime has taken power. They're saying new potential leadership has contacted the U.S. That suggests a leadership transition is happening or about to happen, but it's not complete yet. This could mean several things. The existing Iranian leadership could be preparing to step aside and allow new figures to negotiate. Internal factions within Iran's government could be maneuvering to take control and change policy. Military or Revolutionary Guard leaders could be positioning themselves to make a deal. Or most dramatically, there could be an actual coup or revolution happening, where new leadership is taking power by force, and their first priority is ending the devastating American air campaign. We don't know exactly what's happening inside Iran right now. Communications from Tehran have been limited and contradictory during Operation Epic Fury. The regime has been trying to maintain the appearance of defiance while clearly suffering massive military damage. What we do know is that someone representing potential new Iranian leadership reached out to the United States and said they want to talk to President Trump. That's extraordinary. That's Iran potentially capitulating. That's what maximum pressure is designed to achieve: force the adversary to the negotiating table from a position of weakness. Trump has been preparing for this exact scenario. His entire Iran strategy has been built on the theory that overwhelming military pressure would force regime change or policy change, withdraw from the Obama nuclear deal, reimpose sanctions, increase military pressure, build overwhelming force in the region, make the cost of nuclear pursuit unbearable, force Iran to choose between their nuclear program and their survival. And apparently it's working. Iran's new potential leadership is choosing survival. They're asking to talk. They're signaling they want to end this. But here's what's fascinating about Trump's response. He's not declaring victory and stopping operations. He's not immediately sitting down for negotiations. He's saying, yes, I'll talk eventually. But Operation Epic Fury continues. Think about the strategic calculus there. Iran is asking for talks. That means they're hurting. That means the pressure is working. So Trump's response is, good, keep hurting. Keep feeling the pressure. When you're ready to accept my terms, we'll talk. Until then, the bombs keep falling. This is negotiation through overwhelming force, maximum leverage. Don't stop the pressure when your opponent asks to talk. Intensify it. Make them desperate for the deal on your terms. The official White House statement is perfectly calibrated. New potential leadership in Iran has indicated they want to talk, and eventually he will talk. For now, Operation Epic Fury continues unabated. Eventually he will talk. But not yet. Not while Iran still has the capacity to resist. Not while they might be hoping for better terms. Only when they're completely broken and willing to accept whatever deal Trump offers. This is hardball negotiation. This is what Trump means when he talks about peace through strength. You don't achieve peace by compromising. You achieve peace by crushing your opponent's will to fight and then dictating terms from a position of total dominance. Now let's talk about what Iran's new leadership is likely asking for and what Trump is likely to demand. Iran's new leadership probably wants an immediate ceasefire. Stop the bombing. End Operation Epic Fury. Give us breathing room to consolidate power and assess damage. They probably want sanctions relief. The Iranian economy is devastated. They need international trade and oil revenue to function. They want America to lift sanctions imposed after Trump withdrew from the nuclear deal. They probably want security guarantees. They want assurance that the U.S. won't launch another military campaign. They want protection from Israeli strikes. They want regional security arrangements that prevent future attacks. And in exchange, they're probably willing to make concessions on their nuclear program. That's what this is fundamentally about. Iran pursued nuclear weapons. America said no and backed it up with overwhelming military force. Now Iran's new leadership is ready to back down, but what will Trump demand? Everything. Complete, verifiable, irreversible dismantlement of Iran's nuclear weapons program, intrusive inspections, destruction of enriched uranium stockpiles, dismantlement of centrifuges, conversion of nuclear facilities to non-weapons purposes. Beyond the nuclear program, Trump will probably demand limits on Iran's missile program. No ballistic missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads. No intermediate-range missiles threatening U.S. bases and regional allies. He'll demand changes to Iran's regional behavior. No support for Hezbollah in Lebanon. No support for Houthi rebels in Yemen. No proxy warfare against U.S. interests. No attacks on shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. He'll demand release of American hostages and detainees held in Iran. Full accounting of Americans missing or imprisoned. Safe passage home for all U.S. citizens. And he'll demand all of this before agreeing to any sanctions relief or security guarantees. Iran makes concessions first. then maybe America considers reducing pressure. This is the opposite of the Obama-Iran deal. Obama gave Iran sanctions relief up front in exchange for temporary limits on nuclear enrichment. Trump withdrew from that deal, saying it was weak and ineffective. Now Trump is imposing a deal through military force. You don't get anything until you give up everything. That's the terms. Accept them or Operation Epic Fury continues until there's nothing left to bomb. Will Iran's new leadership accept those terms? They might not have a choice. If they don't accept, the bombing continues. Their military continues being destroyed. Their infrastructure continues being degraded. Their people continue suffering. At some point, the cost of resistance exceeds the cost of capitulation. That appears to be where Iran is now. The new leadership reaching out suggests they've concluded they can't win this fight. They need to make a deal before there's nothing left. But Trump isn't rushing to seal the deal. He's letting the pressure continue. He wants Iran so desperate that they'll accept any terms he offers without negotiation. This is maximum leverage. This is what happens when you build overwhelming military force and use it systematically to destroy an adversary's capacity and will to resist. Now let's talk about what happens next, because several scenarios are possible. Scenario 1. Iran's new leadership consolidates power quickly and comes to the table ready to accept Trump's terms. Negotiations happen relatively fast. A deal is struck that completely dismantles Iran's nuclear program in exchange for gradual sanctions relief and ceasefire. Operation Epic Fury ends. Trump declares total victory. Iran's nuclear threat is eliminated. A new chapter in U.S.-Iran relations begins. This is the best-case scenario from Trump's perspective. Complete strategic victory achieved through military pressure forcing regime change and capitulation. Scenario 2. Iran's new leadership is fragmented and unstable. Multiple factions compete for power. Some want to negotiate, others want to resist. The leadership transition becomes chaotic. Operation Epic Fury continues because there's no stable government to negotiate with. More weeks of bombing, more devastation, more pressure until a clear leadership emerges that can credibly make a deal. This prolongs the conflict but ultimately achieves the same goal. Iran so weakened that eventual leadership has no choice but to capitulate. Scenario 3. Iran's new leadership is a facade. They're asking for talks as a delaying tactic to rebuild defenses and prepare for continued resistance. They have no intention of actually accepting Trump's terms. Trump recognizes this and refuses to stop operations. Negotiations go nowhere. Operation Epic Fury continues until Iran's military is completely destroyed or until actual regime change happens. This is the worst-case scenario because it means weeks or months more of conflict before achieving resolution. Scenario 4. Regional complications arise. Iran's weakness creates opportunities for rivals. Saudi Arabia or Israel take independent action. Proxy forces in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, or Yemen escalate. The conflict spreads beyond U.S.-Iran bilateral warfare. This could force Trump to either expand military operations to address regional threats or accept a less comprehensive deal to prevent wider war. Which scenario plays out depends on factors we can't see from outside. What's actually happening inside Iran's government? How unified is the new leadership? How desperate are they really? What are regional powers planning? But the fact that Iran reached out asking to talk is enormously significant regardless of which scenario unfolds. It means American pressure is working. It means Iran's position is deteriorating. It means Trump has strategic leverage. Let's talk about domestic political implications, because this will be huge for Trump. If Trump achieves a comprehensive deal that dismantles Iran's nuclear program through military pressure, it's an enormous foreign policy victory. It validates his entire approach to Iran. It proves that Obama's diplomacy-first approach was weak and that Trump's strength-first approach achieves better results. Republicans will celebrate this as vindicating everything Trump said about foreign policy. Strength works. Weakness fails. America wins when we use our power decisively. Democrats will be in a difficult position. They can't celebrate American military success under Trump, but they also can't oppose a deal that eliminates Iran's nuclear threat. So they'll probably criticize the process while grudgingly acknowledging the outcome. The 2026 midterms could be significantly affected. A major foreign policy victory weeks before elections helps Republicans. It makes Trump look strong and effective. It gives voters a reason to support continued Republican governance. But if negotiations drag on or fail, if Operation Epic Fury continues without resolution, if American casualties mount or costs spiral, the political calculus changes. Extended warfare without clear victory becomes a liability. So Trump has strong incentive to close a deal relatively quickly, win the victory, declare success, move on to domestic priorities before midterms. Iran's new leadership probably understands this too. Trump needs a deal for political reasons. That might give them slight leverage to negotiate better terms than Trump initially demands, but not much leverage. Because Trump can always say Iran is being unreasonable and continue bombing. The political cost of extended operations is real but manageable if Trump frames it as necessary to achieve complete victory. Here's the bottom line and why this matters. Iran's new potential leadership contacted the United States and said they want to talk to President Trump. This is a massive strategic shift suggesting Iran is capitulating under the pressure of Operation Epic Fury. Trump responded, "I'll talk eventually." For now, the bombing continues. This is maximum leverage negotiation. Don't stop pressure when opponent asks to talk. Intensify it. Force them to become desperate enough to accept your terms without negotiation. Operation Epic Fury has been ongoing for weeks. Sustained air campaign targeting nuclear facilities, military infrastructure, Revolutionary Guard installations, devastating damage to Iran's military capability and nuclear program. The pressure forced leadership change in Iran. New leaders are emerging who recognize they can't win this fight and need to make a deal. Trump will demand complete dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program, limits on missiles, changes to regional behavior, release of hostages. Iran gets nothing until they give up everything. This could end quickly if Iran's new leadership accepts terms. Or it could drag on if leadership is unstable or if they're stalling. Either way, Trump has overwhelming leverage. If Trump gets a comprehensive deal eliminating Iran's nuclear threat, it's a massive foreign policy victory validating his entire approach. Strength works. Maximum pressure achieves results. Diplomacy couldn't. We're potentially witnessing regime change in Iran happening under the weight of American military pressure. The outcome isn't certain yet, but the fact that Iran is asking to talk means Trump's strategy is working. Operation Epic Fury continues. Iran's new leadership wants negotiations, and Trump holds all the cards.